Hello and welcome once again to CXO Stories by Link CXO, our initiative to feature CXO's founders, entrepreneurs across India. This episode is going to be great because we have somebody from the corporate side who decided to become an entrepreneur. Having worked with brands like Yes Bank, DHFL, ICICI Bank, HDFC, and Reliance, now he is a founder himself. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together and welcome the founder of Finfinity, Pradeep Chauhan.
Thanks a lot, Vinay, for the introduction and great to hear those words. Still a learner.
I'm sure we all are learners, Pradeep. So on that note, I would like to ask you that you started off like any other corporate employee, perhaps 2 decades back. So how was the journey from when you started off with ACC Cement and then you transitioned to ICICI Bank, a completely finance domain? Tell us a little about that phase.
So ACC was special. It was a campus job, but I realized sooner that it's a settled and industry in business for lot of decades. And then I saw service sector emerging well, and that's where I thought, why not probably look at career in service sector. And banking as a domain was evolving. Private sector was just started evolving in the early 2000s. That's when I started my career. And I think it could not have been a better start for me than joining ICICI back then in 2003.
And from there on, it's HDFC Bank, Reliance Consumer Finance, and DHFL. You have built deep expertise in mortgage and SME lending. What patterns did you start noticing early in your career in this?
So as I mentioned, private banking itself started emerging in early 2000, and it was a great timing for me. I realized one thing: we are typically moving from brick and mortar, absolute brick and mortar structure globally, and things had just started evolving on the technology side, and that's a journey which I saw in the last 25 years, I would say. Then I saw a pattern wherein banks tried to remain in specific domains, clearly identified segments, low risk. And then it came NBFCs who tried to take a lot of risk, look for their own segments, and they actually were the innovators. They kept on improvising things, looking for new segments. Sooner we saw banks replicating and coming to the same segments. So it's an industry which has been evolving continuously for last 2.5, 3 decades.
Looking back, which role most shaped your leadership style and why?
So while I'm glad I handled across all geographies, all leadership roles, right from a frontline team member to probably someone who was heading businesses, I think most meaningful role was Yes Bank, wherein I got an opportunity to cut across product segments. I was part of the leadership team there, and I handled multiple products. I launched products from start. So it's a different experience when you start something from concept and take it to a specific level in a large organization. And that's amazing opportunity I got there. So my role was not limited to business. I conceptualized these products, a few of them, and we did all of that: strategy, then people, policy, product programs, putting structures, building it from scratch, and eventually achieving scales and building profitable franchise for the bank. I think that's a real fulfilling feeling that you're creating something from scratch and making it big.
Totally agree on that in terms of creating something new and talking about your Yes Bank stint. What did leading large distributed sales team teach you about people, incentive, and performance?
So first of all, you know, I realized one thing, that beyond a point of time, it's all about your people skills. Obviously, all of us, when we grow through hierarchies, organization structures, you go through a lot of learning phases. Product is given beyond a point of time. It's all about how do you, you know, build a structure and use people in a right way to reach meaningful ends. I think if we know very well that how to handle large teams, diversified teams across levels, how to put right people at right place, you can retain talent. Those are the key differentiators. I think that's something which is really critical for me.
And the leap into entrepreneurship, as in after almost 2 decades in a structured banking environment, what triggered this decision to start Finfinity? Tell us more about that.
And I think the timing was perfect. I was clearly seeing post COVID that now things are getting preponed on technology side. Every bank, every institution, every industry is looking at ways and means to digitize things, because we saw people could, relying only on people could be really disruptive at times. And that's where we saw COVID preponed all those plans. And I realized that banking as a segment is now moving very fast towards digitization, and clearly fintechs have a huge role to play there. While banks can focus on digitizing the internal processes, a regulator is building those critical blocks for enabling this ecosystem, putting in right processes, checks, audits, a lot of guidelines. And then you have government which has taken a lot of initiatives in last few years, especially GST digitization, banking, banking aggregators coming into perspective. Then you have PAN, Aadhaar digitization, so a lot of stuff which has done by the government. Lastly, I look at fintech, who have this responsibility of stitching it all together. So you have fintechs which have come up with some fantastic banking solutions. Then you have fintech who have come up with some digital journeys around specific problem areas. And then I realized the need of someone who can put it all together in a seamless manner, connecting eventually a end customer to right banks and BFCs and making the seamless journey. And I think this was perfect time. And we decided to cut across product segments and not really stay focused on a specific product, because I believe an individual might need any financial product at any stage of life. So that's where we differentiated and we are creating this ecosystem.
And in this particular entrepreneurship journey, was there a specific moment or a problem statement that made you think that this needs to be solved differently?
So often ideas start with the problem very close to us. So I went through some learning at the ground. While I always thought that all prime customers are well serviced in the banking ecosystem, it was some experience with a close friend which led me to entrepreneurship journey myself. I realized that still you see huge gaps as well as the execution pieces concerned at the ground realities. Someone who is absolutely well paid, working with very settled organization, he struggled for 2 months to get a loan from a basic housing loan from right bank, and he had no clue how to probably reach out to someone who can help him choose right bank. He ended up reaching out to a few DSAs who guided him as per their own understanding and intelligence. But I realized that there's no genuine right platform where you can go and you probably do it all yourself. Why not? Today we need a government, we go to X platform and we choose it. We look at the 10 options, we choose what is right for me. Thanks to the way travel industry has evolved. Today you don't go to a counter at airport and buy tickets. In few
True.
seconds you know who is offering me what. Lending, finance, which is our lifeline, we spend our life on generating money and probably deploying it. Fortunately, even today, we don't see an ideal model. We still manage funds by accident. That's what I normally say. We manage money by accident, not as a defined approach.
And talking about building Finfinity itself, I understand your aim is to create hyper personalized financial solution. What does that actually look like in practice for a customer?
From customers' perspective, I must say this is chaos today. It's really confusing. You have, say, housing loan itself. You have almost 150 lenders in the market: banks, NBFCs, small finance banks, housing finance companies, all of them put together. And often a lot of them have their own product program policies. They try to operate in a specific segment. This is a direct function of their probably strategy, policy, strategy, and often decided by the cost of funds. So all of them define these product programs and then look for a specific segment. Now I, as a customer, how do I understand what is right for me? What is the right fitment? Someone who is probably working in an unorganized segment, he's not earning probably the complete income document in the form of, say check salary. He might be getting some amount in cash and something like other way. He has 50 options today to choose from, right from probably 10% to a 24% housing loan. Who guides him and how? He's depending on third party advice who may or may not be the best advisors, and the overall piece remains unaddressed. So that's where I see there was a clear need to come up with something, some intelligent solution around it, which is genuinely solving this problem. So in nutshell, you really need a right marketplace which is offering you end-to-end solution, not just a lead origination kind of piece.
Got it. Got it. And this particular industry, which is quite price sensitive, at the same time, more to do with trust. How do you think about trust in financial services, especially when building a new age platform? Any challenges there?
So there I see a huge gap today in this industry. Finance still remains grossly unaddressed in right way. I'm taking a cue from a lot of new age wealth companies who have chosen a difficult route of educating customers, guiding them right, and then eventually moving them in right direction as far as investment solutions are concerned. Gone are the days when you just go to a platform and you just start investing. We have seen some amazing platforms emerging where you see a lot of information, relevant information, which customers can genuinely go through. They understand how does a mutual fund work, how does a PMS work, which is the right probably investment opportunity for them. I think we are going the same way. We will be spending a lot of effort and time on educating customers, eventually leading to financial literacy. We want them to understand before taking a decision. So wherever we are going, meeting, partnering, we are putting a lot of efforts on building this ecosystem of learning. So I think that's the right way. We unlike a lot of other fintechs, we don't intend to become a data company. We rather want to stay with this customer throughout his life journey and keep on giving solutions as and when he needs them. But absolutely customer aligned. So the motto is to probably move from a seller to a buyer driven kind of journey.
And continuing with our discussion from a product, customer, and market insights, Pradeep, do you believe India is ready for fully digital lending journeys, or still there is a strong need for human advisory? What's
I
your
think
take on that?
we're going through that transition right now as we are talking, and we have seen last 3 years. If I look around, last 5 years, if I look around, we have seen probably a products like unsecured loan moving from a lead model to an end-to-end fulfillment, insta personal loan kind of solutions coming up the way. Soon you will see probably across banks and BFCs, including prime segments, personal loan will become a 5 minutes, 10 minutes product, which used to be couple of days journey. As today we are talking, it's predominantly bottom of the pyramid which is getting at risk. But I don't see a reason why a prime customer should not avail a personal loan from right bank as per his credibility in say same 5-10 minutes. He will get those. So we are on that journey. Similarly, end-to-end digital journeys is a function of how complete industry is evolving. So thanks to what I mentioned about regulator,
Yes.
bank, fintechs, and probably a government, say finance, Ministry of Finance, the kind of initiatives all of them have been taking. They're right now on that way of probably eventually reaching that end-to-end digital journey kind as a system, and we will see adoption going up thanks to probably UPI kind of platform, which helped us reaching out to the most interior segments of the pyramid segments, and everyone is today probably digital savvy. So I don't think it's going to be a problem, provided we're able to build journeys which are genuinely end-to-end digital, which deploy a lot of information from the public infrastructure instead of making difficult journeys for the end customers. If we can make a seamless journey which can be done in 3 minutes, I think why not? It's going to be the way.
And now that you're in a totally different seat itself, how does decision making feel different when you're the founder versus a corporate leader?
I think for me, the transition was not very different because in my last assignment, I was practically handling it all. So I took that initiative and I was handling multiple domains around what I was delivering. But the real difference is when you start something from scratch, a new organization, young organization, without unlimited funds available to you. That's when the real challenges come. First and foremost, how would you get like-minded minds to work for a startup?
Yes.
That's a huge transition, huge journey, and I'm glad I was able to crack that well. And today we are a 100-member team.
Oh, very nice.
All bankers left their fancy jobs and part of Infinity now. I was lucky enough to get probably right co-founders with me, Vijay and Mohit, who started this journey along with me, and we have stayed absolutely aligned on the overall delivery. So I think that's the biggest change. While you are with a large organization, you find it easy to get right people. You have a lot of resources available. When you're in a startup, starting something from scratch, you have to deliver with same set of people without throwing that kind of money on table. You have to ensure that all of them buy your thoughts, they believe in your vision, and they commit themselves. So that's a huge change.
Very well said, very well articulated on that point, Pradeep. And how do you deal with uncertainty, especially in a highly regulated space like fintech?
I think only way to deal with uncertainty is get as much information as possible. Stay aware. So that's what I've been trying to do. I stay connected, not only at the top level, at the bottom level also. I'm trying to read as much as possible. I'm connected with the people who cut across domains. So be it on the regulator side, be it on the legal side, we're trying to be absolutely hands-on. And between three co-founders, we practically cover it all. So someone who is one of the industry best on technology. Other co-founder is a chartered accountant who understands everything around finance. And between three of us, we are able to probably take care of everything around us. So it's true that we are talking about an industry which is highly regulated, changing very rapidly. And I'm glad we have regulator in place because that is core of this ecosystem. You're talking about dealing with public money practically, either lending or investing. So you can't imagine industry running without a regulator and without strict guidelines. We chose to remain absolutely clear on delivery. So we are ISO 27K, we are SOC 2 Type 1, we are SOC 2 Type 2. We are going for all possible certifications which are needed to give that trust to the end customer, regulator, and banking partners that we will tolerate zero probably slippages against any of the expected norms on data security, infosec, and all. So I think thanks to the kind of founding team we have got, we are absolutely hands on.
Wow, that's superb to know that knowledge, learning, information, some of the keywords which help all of us and to all the viewers of this particular series from Link CX. So I think the knowledge should never stop. Continuing with our series, Pradeep, what trend in fintech excites you the most for the over the next 5 to 10 years with AI penetrating in all our spheres of life?
I think we are entering the most interesting phase in last one century, I would say. We are at the tipping point and we will see things changing so rapidly going forward for the good. We'll see a lot of redundancy going away and a lot of transparency moving in this ecosystem. Day by day, every part of ecosystem is pushing us towards that dream. And that is the right way. The way we were operating for last 3 decades, I would say that was again a journey. So the way things are moving now, next 5 years, we'll see massive transformation. For example, today, end-to-end digital journeys or loans, they account for not more than 5% of total lending in this country, retail lending in the country. So if I presume a monthly disbursement of 5 lakh crores in this country, I'm talking about fintech contributing not more than probably 15-20,000 in all, 15,000 crores in all. Next 3 to 5 years, we'll see fintech contributing at least 50% of retail lending needs. So, and this industry is going at a CAGR of 14-15% on average. So we are looking at practically doubling this market in next 5 years, and fintechs contributing 50% of this space. So I think you could not have asked for a bigger opportunity.
Wow.
That's why I say this is the best time.
And from a totally different, from a leadership and team building perspective, you have managed large teams before. How is hiring different for a startup vis-a-vis in a bank?
In fact, that's one learning I had across my roles in previous organizations. Often leaders make a mistake. They move and they just pick whosoever they have been working with in past. You try to look at comfort and you just move people from one organization to other organization. Everyone wants to work with their own people, kind of. That's how things move in this industry.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned long back, since I worked with large banks, NBFCs, starting NBFCs, and probably now with a startup, everyone does not fit in everywhere. We need to be very sure what kind of mindset is needed in a startup, what kind of mindset you need in a large settled organization, what kind of mindset you need when you're rebuilding something. So it's very different skill set you need. Someone who has worked for 20 years with a large settled organization may not be a right hire for a fintech when you need someone to be really agile, really approachable, out there at the market. So you have to carefully pick every single resource who is willing to commit, go beyond those comforts of a large organization, settled organization, and probably is willing to rediscover himself in a startup journey. You have to leave all those inhibitions, those comforts, and start from scratch. It is like when we joined and when our teams joined, first thing we told them at, we'll be doing it all. So all of us might be handling anything coming our way. That's how startups will move. Slowly, gradually, you will see that rules are getting cleared and now probably structures will get built. But day one, there's no business head, there's no group head, there's no, finance head here. So this is how it is. You start from a 10-member team and then gradually grow to a 100-member team. You need a very different mindset when you are just starting. So I think
And
right attitude is something which I look at. Right fitment is something which I look at. Desire to learn. Age is the last thing I am looking at when I am looking at people. Clearly, someone who is proving himself that he can handle larger roles. I have been very clear that they handle, probably far bigger roles than what they were handling in the previous organization. And
yeah.
we are absolutely sure about that.
Tell us about some of the tough phase of the startup journey. How was it? How did you navigate that?
So I think the first reality check is when you leave a large organization, large role, and start afresh. Suddenly you realize, boss, you're restarting your career. So that was the first reality check. Second, we chose to start a bootstrap. So I think that was the right call we took. Starting bootstrap, your own money, building it from scratch, investing a lot of stuff on technology, people, building, organization. The toughest part out of that was probably how to look for a right partner. Probably when I say partner, I mean the investor. There's so many options out there. Who fits in right for you? Should you go to a VC? Should you go to a family office? Should you hire a probably investment banking firm? Should you do a friends and family round? There's so many things you have to choose. Now, when you are in the early seed, pre-seed kind of
Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
When you're conceptualizing, you're evolving every day. It's very important that you get right financing or investing partners with you who align with those thought processes. So here, I think choosing that was the biggest challenge, and I'm glad we took our call and we eventually did a funding round with the kind of people we wanted on board.
Yeah.
They're helping us build this organization the way we wanted it to. They're part of the journey.
Oh, very nice. We're very happy to know that. And how do you define success at this stage of your life? Has the definition changed over time?
So success for me at this stage would, the first success or probably the biggest success I see is we stay aligned to what we thought. We were trying to disrupt this space, which is something, challenging what is existing today. After 2 years, 2.5 years, we have moved in that direction and we have seen fantastic acceptance from the market. So the POC we have done so far on the business model, I think is the biggest validation on the success part, which means we are on the right track. So it's really important that we don't get emotional about a specific business model. You start with something. A lot of times you end up building it just because you are emotional about the product. It's very important that you have a POC in place, and once you have proof of concept, you have to just build on and achieve a scale. I think we have done POC and we are now very well ready to pick up the pace the way we wanted it.
Right. I mean, very inspiring to know the journey so far, Pradeep. And I come to a little more light-hearted segment from our side, that the rapid fire. One decision you wish you had made earlier.
Well, it's a perfect time for Finfinity. I could have started fintech earlier. I always knew I have it, in me.
And a belief about finance or leadership you have changed your mind on.
So on the leadership, I would specifically say I moved from being a directional leader or probably, to a functional leader to probably a inspirational leader today. Today, for me, only style of leadership which work is if I can inspire people around me and motivate them to probably move in a specific direction without using power, influence, and all of that. I think that's the way it has to be. And so with probably every stage in career, that philosophy on leadership has changed for me, and I've tried to align myself as per the role.
That's a very, very well thought response, Pradeep. And inspiring leaders and inspiring content always from Link CX. So, one habit that has contributed most to your success, Pradeep.
Probably I would say I was lucky enough that I got right set of people with me, so I did not struggle at all on getting those like-minded people, and we started really early. I think that gave me a head start, and everything else then was given. Actually, it was just a process for me.
And startup life in one word. Wow. Thriving in chaos. Great. And one favorite book of yours.
So I really like this book called Bank to Pandora. It changed my perspective on banking totally, because we were old school. We saw banking the way it used to be 2 decades back. While we were trying to digitize things, I really was excited to see how small economies across the globes are evolving as technology leaders in banking space.
Yeah.
There are countries in Africa which are far more detailed than probably the most developed countries across the globe, which clearly gives us a lot of confidence that probably it's all in the mind. Banking could be actually digitized and we can bring in a lot of productivities, a lot of challenges can go away, and we can build right organization if we have a digital bank in place. And I think it was really helpful. It actually helped me design the way I wanted to design Finfinity.
When we reflect back, if you could give one piece of advice to someone transitioning from a corporate career to entrepreneurship, what would it be?
So don't come and start this journey with any baggage. You have to start afresh. So only concept does not help. You might have a great thought, great concept. You have to be really sure how will it lead to success. So concept to hiring people, to getting finance, covering yourself from regulatory perspectives, then scaling up. So this is a journey which has to be very, very well thought. You can't just randomly start and think that everything will then come in place. One has to be very sure at every stage what kind of probably stakeholders you want to bring in and how will you probably get that. And the biggest challenge is if you especially a youngsters, if you start with something without any financial backing on day zero, how will you hire people? Whatever concept you have in mind, it might be great, but if you don't have right financial backing, growing fast is the key. How will you grow fast without that financial backing? How long will you sustain if you don't get right funding? Who are the mentors you're looking up to? It's important. We as founders can't be just thinking that it's all my problem and I will handle it on my own. You
Yeah.
have to be really sure if you are stressed out, you are reaching a roadblock, who are the five guys, three guys you can reach up to who can guide you in a right way. So all of that has to be well thought through. And I said biggest thing is leave the baggage. Whatever you have achieved in your life in past, it stays with you, but that can't be a criteria you will more have in mind when you're starting something. You just think you're restarting your career.
Perfect. Sounds great, Pradeep. Thrive in chaos, leave the baggage behind, start completely from scratch. Finally, what does the future look like for Finfinity over the next few years?
So we took slightly difficult route. We chose not to become one more fintech which will deliver losses for 1 decade. It's a difficult call we had to take, and we took that call. So we said we'll build digital. We build something which is future ready. We also were very clear that whatever we are creating, it has to be scalable yet profitable. So we chose to become a B2B2C model. We are investing a lot on building right technology at the back end, and next 5 years we see ourselves emerging as the biggest financial wellness platform in this country. And we intend to probably reach out to at least 10 million customers in next 3 years who onboarding on our platform, and we will be probably helping them take right financial decisions instead of just pushing our product.
Team Link CXO wishes the entire team at Finfinity and Pradeep Chauhan all the best, and we wish for many more milestones in the Finfinity journey. Thank you so much, and to all our viewers, many more such exciting episodes coming up shortly. And as a parting note, Pradeep, what's your take on a platform like Link CXO?
I think it's a great relief for someone like us. You can't ask for something better than this. When you are a startup, when you are a founder, you want right platform to reach out to public at large, audience, stakeholders. I think you're doing a great job, amazing work, and I'm glad that we are connected and this is happening today. And would love to stay connected. And thanks a lot for getting us on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pradeep. And that's it from our side today. Look forward for many more episodes. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Signing off your host, Vinay Rao from Link
Thanks a lot,
CXO.
Vinay.